Hey, it's Dorleen. Welcome to my channel and my creative life. Today I'm working on a project for Jenlee Schoolcraft where we use new and used crafty supplies to make pretty crafty things. I'm making a card today using these stamps from Tonic Studios. It's called Minnie and Marmalade, and there's also some accessories that were sent to me. Now I'll talk about Jenlee Schoolcraft website later on, but right now look at how funny. I kept this in because this little both stamp sets had this little Brad-like contraption thing, and it took me forever to figure it out. And so I finally did. It just really popped off pretty easily, but I wanted to save them because I think those might work out for like spinner cards. So hey, double bonus. But anyhow, back to the card. So I decided to do one with little Minnie today, and I'm going to just stamp her on white cardstock as well as the purse, because I'm going to have her carrying a purse or tote bag, whatever you want to call it, just in white. Now, originally I thought, okay, I'm going to color her in or color them both in, but I decided to change the direction and go with paper piecing. I don't know if you've ever done it. It's super simple. It really just requires some kind of paper, whether it's pattern paper, colored cardstock paper, or whatever. And then you're going to stamp the parts of the image that you want using that paper. I don't know if that makes sense, but just keep on watching. It'll make sense. So like I mentioned, I'm going to go ahead and stamp the tote bag in white with the thought that I'm going to be coloring this in. You also notice that the accessory stamp set comes with dies, so I can cut that out. I pulled out this 6x6 paper pad called Our Story Matters by Echo Park. Look at how sweet the little patterns are. The thing I like about using 6x6 pads for cards is that you still get the really pretty images, but they're smaller, excuse me, especially for something like this, because I'm going to use that flower paper for her dress. Now, if this was a 12 by 12 sheet of paper, those flowers would be much bigger. I mean, it would still be super cute, don't get me wrong, but it definitely looks better with the smaller pattern. Now, you notice here I did an oops, but luckily I had a big enough scrap, so I was still able to get out pieces for that dress. Now I'm going to take my scissors and fussy cut. Now I'm not going to bore you too much with me going back and forth with the fussy cutting, but basically you keep your scissors straight and you move the paper with your other hand, which I showed earlier. And with the magic of video, it's all done. Super cute. You can tell already, right? So I am going to color her skin, her hair, and also her shoes using alcohol markers. I love using alcohol markers, especially when doing skin, because you don't get those lines like you would get with a regular like water marker or pencils or anything like that. So that's kind of my marker of choice when I'm doing skin. Now I'm also going to be using that very light, it's called Icy Gray, to just slightly line around what I'm going to call the white parts, which is the bottom lace part of her dress, and also around her collar. That just kind of let me see, what's the word? Really showcases the white part of the cardstock without being too boring, if that makes sense. And then I just colored in her hair, just random browns. And like I mentioned before, I'm not the best coloring person. You're definitely not going to learn a lot from me. I just try to do a little bit of shading, a little bit of real different colors, so that way it adds some more interest. But, you know, it's very simple and it does the job. But there are some people that do amazing work where it almost looks so real. It does actually look like hair or whatever it is that they're coloring. It always amazes me. So I'm going to let that sit for a minute while I re-stamp the tote bag on this yellow polka dot paper. And then I'm going to get out my Sizzix Sidekick, which I love to do when I have small images I need to cut. And I'm going to cut out this tote bag. Super easy. It's one piece. Not a lot going on with this one. Basically just going to bring it on through and cut out that tote bag. I am going to take the original image in white and cut out that label in the middle. And then you're going to see, when I stamp with my black ink pad, for some reason, I always get black smudges on my fingers. And 90% of the time, I check my hands before I do anything else. Well, that didn't happen this time. So I don't even realize it. But somewhere when I'm doing this, I smudge it. And you can see it there. I'm like, ugh. And then I was going to take it out and think, oh, maybe I'll restamp. Then I thought, you know what, I'm not doing that. So again, with the magic video, I fussy cut her out, and you can point out here, I'm just pointing out some of the different shades of within her hair. It's almost like a little bit of a yellow or a really light brown with a darker brown, and it just adds some interest, like I mentioned. Just grabbing a piece of blue cardstock, which is cut at 4 1/4 by 11, scored in the middle, or actually just to say folded in the middle. Didn't really score it. And I don't know if you noticed earlier, but I had that little baggie full of scraps from this same pad, and I thought, let me use scraps. Cards are the best time to use scraps because you usually only need a little bit. I'm just guessing on the measurements. I actually measured wrong, but I fix it so it all works out. But I did want to mention a little bit about Jenlee Schoolcraft. So they are a website that has crafty items. Makes sense. Now, when I say crafty items, I mean all the things. So stamps, dies, embossing folders, inks, ribbon, just all kinds of embellishments and just all the things. So, but the difference with them is they are actually budget friendly. And the reason why they are budget friendly is because a lot of their items, there's a lot that are new and there are some that are gently or slightly used. But the new ones aren't something you're going to see. They're not the latest and the greatest, but items that are, let's say, either retired or maybe somebody was a crafter and then they just never use certain items, so they're being, sold again, things like that. And then the ones that are gently used, believe me, I got a pack of enamel dots. There might have been like 3 of the dots missing, but the price was like $1.99. I mean, that's a good deal. And so that's the kind of thing that I'm talking about when I say gently used. It might be a stamp set that's been used once or twice. Hey, it still works, folks. So this is a great place to look, especially if there's this one item that you wanted to get from whatever manufacturer they no longer make. Hey, you might get lucky and find it there. But one thing to remember is, because they're a smaller shop, they don't have lots of inventory. So if you see something you like, that literally might be the only one available, or there may only be like a small handful. So if you like something, I'm telling you, grab it, because that has happened to me already. So fill your cart and actually complete the transaction. But before you do, make sure you put my first name, Dorleen. Don't worry about spelling it. It's going to be in the information box, as well as a link over to the Jenlee Schoolcraft website, my blog, my Instagram, all the stuff that you might need for that relates to this card. But if you use my name, you'll get an additional 10% off. It's Dorleen. And then, like I said, additional 10% off. If it's your first time ordering, there is a first time ordering code. I want to say it's new 20, but it pops up when you get to the website. So make sure you take advantage of that as well if this is your first time shopping there. Back to the card, you can tell already, I'm just really using some glue and some double-sided tape, etc., to put everything together. That arch is just part of something that I keep. Sometimes I make something and I don't use it in a different project, so I just save them and use them for future projects. I have a lot of these kind of shapes just in a little container. So here's where my oops was. I was going to recut it, but guess what I decided to do? I just colored it in pink and in 3 different shades. And I think that looks fine. I mean, if you look real close, you could still see it, but it really does hide it and it adds more color. So I was going to keep it white. So there you go. And I'm just using that really icy gray to do a little bit of shadowing on the right side of all the images and on the ground, so she has something to stand on. And before I forget, I did add some of these epoxy stickers. Now, this is something I had in my stash, but how cute is that? You see that all the time where somebody has this really fancy bag and then they have like a bow on it or a chain or, something like that. So I thought it looked perfect right there. And I really like the pink one because I think it just really works well with that yellow tote bag. But this is pretty much it, folks. I hope you do like this video, and if you do, make sure you hit the like button, give me a thumbs up, make sure you hit subscribe, because I do post at least 2 videos a week. One is always scrapbooking and the other is whatever it is I'm creating in the command center, which is the name of my craft room and also my blog. And I have playlists for all the different things if you want to check those out. But I really would appreciate a subscription or a subscribe when you get a chance. And if you're interested, thanks again for watching. I truly do appreciate it. Have a great day. Bye.